Welcome to the All Ambient podcast, where we dig into the creative process, we hear untold stories, and we explore the minds of the artists behind some of the finest ambient music out there. I'm your host, Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. Really happy to be here together with you. We have a music news episode coming your way. This week we dig into the ambient music buttons Apple has announced they are putting into the latest version of iOS. At time of recording, it is either out right now or it is about to come out, but be sure to go check it out for yourself. Super interesting conversation. Before we go any further, if you have not jumped onto the All Ambient Discord server yet, please do so. The link is in the show notes. We'd love to have you join the community. It's a great place to meet a bunch of other like-minded artists. It is also a great place to respond to what's going on the podcast and be a part of that conversation, and even asking questions or give feedback for future episodes and other things that we can all dig into. Maybe even different artists you'd like to see in the interview seat. Come on over and join us. That'd be great. We also have some incredible developments that are happening at all-ambient.com. We're going to be rolling those out in the next weeks, months. Stay tuned for that. There's a bunch of great artists making great things, and the plate of those great things is about to grow and grow. Really excited, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, let's dig into our conversation on Apple's new ambient music buttons in iOS. Guilty pleasure? I don't know why it's guilty. I love Q-Tip and Tribe Called Quest. Like, it is my job, man. I just that whole era of hip hop is just so like where nothing was lining up correctly on the tape, and like it had all the like you could feel every bit of like the humanness of how they were DJing and said, and I just love that era. Absolutely love that era for sure.
Agreed. That's just
so when Q-Tip showed up with the Chemical Brothers and did that little song with them, made me real happy. That was awesome.
Galvanize.
It's
funny, I totally forgot about that song until my kids started watching Sonic the Hedgehog and an appearance on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and now they've been listening to that song every night as they get ready for bed, and I'm very happy about it.
Love it.
Push the button.
Yeah, it's wild that they're like listening to great music and their touch point is like this kids movie that is, 25 years after it was released or whatever.
Good on them for the musical director.
Yes,
pick that cue.
We might have to keep that in the intro. There's our intro. Love it.
There it is.
You did it.
Welcome everybody to another music news episode of the Ambient podcast. Marshall, hello. Ben, hello. Kirk, hello. Good to see you guys.
Hello.
Great to be here.
So, fun fact, we record a couple podcast episodes when we get together and do this because, I mean, how can you say no to these handsome faces right here? So we hang out for a little bit longer, and we just did one, but we haven't even, in so doing and all the chatting, we haven't even talked about the thing that happened with all four of us. Like a week or two ago, we released our 4-way collab that stemmed out of a conversation or two on the All Ambient podcast, is now out into the world as Soma Sova. Congrats, guys. We have a release. Yeah, it's out there. It's
amazing.
Out there. Yeah, I just wild how that all came together, and if you haven't gone and watched and listened to the roundtable where we talked about or just kind of did a recap of what that process was like, and then each of us breaking down each of the 4 songs, go ahead and do so. It was just a brilliant ride, but yeah, it's out in the world. The expectations are not something that I'm watching it like a hawk, because and I know we've all got a lot of projects and a lot of things that we're just working on, but it's fun that people are listening to it. I did kind of catch a glimpse, and it's cool that there's some folks out there enjoying it, and they sound so awesome. Good. I did listen through it again. It just sounds so good.
It's a nice little like cohesive listen, all things considered, right? It's like a nice, doesn't feel like 4 very random songs or anything. It feels like it's
very cohesive,
sonically cohesive. Yeah, it's great.
A little bit of magic.
Good job, you guys.
Do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Should.
Now that it's out, let's schedule another one so we can forget about that one.
Yeah. On another one.
DJ Khaled.
That's amazing. Love it. Oh man, so fun. Well, congrats. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of fun, just, other projects, not just from us, but just some of the ideas that are planted in this show that are starting to encourage other artists and things that they're taking action on and putting out into the world. I know that there's just more cool music that's going to happen because of these conversations, just like Soma Sova and just like all the other stuff out there. And that's probably a good segue. Just a quick little recommend. If you are not on the All Ambient Discord server yet, come and join the conversation. There's a lot of cool,
Kirk.
A lot of amazing people Kirk. Yeah.
Gosh.
And when I say you all need to come and join, I'm also talking to maybe one of the 4 people who happen to be have a microphone in front of their face right now. No,
Gotcha.
it's all
Thought
good.
you were gonna get past me on that.
I have to say, I have Discord phobia. I get so get
Just
in
take it
there
slow.
just these walls of memes and walls of
I know.
I don't know how to respond to this, and I don't know, do I click the message to reply or do I do the thing? And I'm like,
It's
am
worth
I,
it, dude.
You do all
am
of
I
it.
68 years old? I don't even understand
Am
what's
I?
happening.
How do I add an emoji
Yeah.
to the
That's exactly.
But I will.
it's
I'll do
okay,
it. I'm
Kurt,
diving in.
wade through. I believe in you. We all believe in Grandpa Kirk jumping on and making it happen. No, I honestly, I'm bad on social media myself, but this feels different. It's great to have a bunch of like-minded artists, many within kind of an ambient genre sort of thing, but then also many, outside of that genre and who are just here to learn and artists encouraging other artists. It's awesome. It's great. But all the different conversations are happening. If you want to start asking conversations, if you want to provide feedback on any of the podcast episodes or start asking questions that might lead into a future podcast conversation, that's a great place to do it. There's a couple different places where you can do that. And again, along with all the other conversations that are happening, great place to be. So for anyone who's not on, link is in the show notes. Kirk, link is in the show notes, buddy.
Got it. Check.
Head on over.
But anyway, so that then segues right into what we're going to talk about for music news today. One of our friends on the All Ambient Discord server, his name is Nathaniel, and Nathaniel makes music as the Good Night Project, I believe.
Oh yeah.
If I got that wrong, Nathaniel, you can beat me up later. But no, I've listened to the Goodnight Project and it's great. So Nathaniel mentioned an article that I hadn't seen yet. So this was brought to my attention through the Discord server. But there is I'll mention the subject of this and just see if you guys are all aware of this. I'm sure Ben is. I know Ben is. He's been commenting on it.
I'm aware.
But
Sadly.
Kirk, Marshall, are you guys aware of the thing that Apple has been working on for the what's coming out in the new iOS, their ambient music feature that is coming out in the next upload of iOS?
No.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's the
Oh
correct
no!
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh
It's
man!
going to be like a iTunes visualizer, but for sound. Is what it sounds. I mean, just hearing you say it is what makes me
Well,
think.
I mean, you're there. There might be parts of that where you're right, and parts of that where you're not. But yeah. Let me just read. So this is not an official Apple article. This is from, one of the many sites that covers a lot of Apple stuff. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit here. So with the next iOS, I believe it's 18.4, which is going to be the one, Apple introduces a new ambient music feature designed to enhance user well-being through curated soundscapes. This feature offers 4 distinct categories: chill, productivity, sleep, and well-being, each providing a tailored auditory experience to suit various moods and activities. Yeah, so then blah 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 talks about how you access it, and it's saying, I mean, you can literally, it's just kind of like you hit a button and you're not searching for artists, you're not searching for songs, it's just, I want this mood, and then it is piped into you. So think shortcutting, opening up the Spotify app, opening up whatever music app you're listening to, Amazon Music. Let's go with Amazon Music today. That sounds great. Opening up the Amazon Music app, opening up the meditation station, opening up the sleep station, opening up the peace playlist, any of those things. Like you're clicking through, and then you're finally doing that. This apparently is their one button solve to that, just saying, hey, poof, we'll put you into the well-being space that you want to be in with just a tap. There you go. Which on that level is interesting. I receive that. Let me read one other little bit, and then we're gonna get to chewing this apart. So the 4 different categories, it kind of defined what it was. Yeah. Okay. So when you tap an ambient music control, it will automatically start playing a track from the selected category. So it is track. It's not like it's just auto generating some feed of whatever. It doesn't mean that the tracks aren't generated, but it's
curated,
it's at least,
though.
Putting some fences around it. Yeah. Yep. So here we go. So you hit the button, it'll start playing, a track from that selected category. The 4 categories: chill offers relaxed tunes suitable for unwinding and stress relief. I think a few of us make stuff like that. Productivity provides focused instrumental tracks to aid concentration during work or study sessions. I think a few of us make stuff like that. Sleep features calming sounds designed to promote restful sleep. I think a few of us make some stuff like that. Well-being is the last one, includes uplifting melodies aimed at enhancing overall mood and well-being. And darn it, I think some of us make some stuff like that. That's, there's probably more to find about that. And Apple I'm not reading, again, an official Apple news release on or anything, but this is going to be kind of fun because we're kind of going to be speculating and maybe making some assumptions that turn out to not be true. And maybe we'll be making some speculations that turn out to be absolutely true. But I want to just play around with this particular idea of like, okay, Apple's bringing in ambient music. Like they're literally, what would be a good way to put it? They are not normalizing. It's not the right word. It's becoming like a universal experience. Like it is something that they're trying to make almost as normal as the clock and the calculator and the messages app. Like, okay, here's the ambient music. Boop. There you go. And on it goes. Initial reactions to what Apple's planning on
of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love it. But I do like like you say, Mike, it's great that ambient music is becoming something that people much more generally enjoy listening to. And clearly there's a huge appetite for ambient music. Yeah. You can see it across the playlist of stations, across all DSPs, which is really cool. And like the functionality that they're talking about it's great. You swipe up on your iPhone or whatever it is, you click and it's there. That's wonderful. I assume you'll need some kind of Apple Music subscription. I assume that's what it will link into, but either way, really cool. What I really don't like is 2 things. Firstly, you talk about kind of the normalization of ambient music. What we're really saying is they're normalizing because of their playlisting strategy, because of the kinds of music that get onto those types of playlists. It's normalizing really generic, lifeless ambient music. And that's what people associate with, I want a sleep playlist. It all sounds the same. There's no interest in that. And maybe you can make a case for that with sleep. But with things like focus and productivity and all of that kind of stuff, like you want something there that isn't just really generic, could have been made by one person making multiple tracks, could have been made by AI. When you look at the big Apple Music playlists, you can see that by and large in the ambient space, it is full of the same kind of stuff. Be it AI generated or not, it's difficult to say, but it's not real working artists who are developing an artist profile and portfolio, who have an Instagram account, who are doing that as like we are, as a kind of, this is what we're about, and creating those stories behind your music. You've got the generic stuff in there. And it's the same on as well. And my worry with this, and my expectation, unfortunately, with this, is that this will go even further down that. They're making this thing available. It's just going to be your generic ambient stuff that exists.
Your default.
And your default stuff. And it's like, sure, people will, if people are never served anything better, they'll think this is kind of cool. This is nice. I get this kind of relaxing soundscape. But they don't realize that they're missing out on some incredible art that also sounds kind of along the lines of this stuff, but has so much more depth and so much more kind of life to it. And I'm just like, here is an opportunity for a company like Apple who have a ton of money. They don't need to scrimp on like royalties and all that kind of stuff. They could be like showcasing some absolutely incredible ambient music from genuine artists. It doesn't need to be
Apple,
me. It
our
doesn't need to be us.
URL is all-ambient.com. You'll get a line directly to Ben as you fill out our contact page, and we would absolutely be happy to figure this out with you. 100%, no problem. Yep.
We can make time.
Just speaking it in there. Go ahead, Ben. Yep.
I mean, absolutely. And I think this is for me where a lot of this comes into it's the responsibility of these DSPs, Spotify, Apple, Amazon as well. Although Amazon doing a much better job than the other two at this point in time of in these bigger ambient playlists to showcase real people and, you know, allow those people to generate revenues based on the art that they're creating rather than basically buying out stuff and putting it into these playlists. And unfortunately, that's what I expect from this.
Are we assuming this is AI created music that's going on these, or do we not know anything?
That can be an assumption. I mean,
we don't know though, right? I mean, it's not.
No, we're all, I will say the two bits that kind of factor into my thinking on that are one that, and Spotify has never come out to officially say it, but within some of their bigger playlists, when you see some of the, whether it's AI or whether it's the same person releasing stuff as 270 different monikers or whatnot, there can be an advantage to working out some sort of hidden royalty agreement with someone, whether it's a person or an entity like Epidemic or whatever that looks like, that allows for you to fill a playlist with music that you're not paying quite as much on. Like it certainly is something that's out there. But I think the thing that got me even just a little bit more, and I was kind of getting a little nosy on it, but with all the screenshots of this, what it's potentially going to be, there was the name, it was kind of a short name of the artist, and then it had the name of the song or the name of the album. And I started Googling all of that, the name of the artist, the artist album, the song name, all that. And there's just nothing out in the world of this. So which the only reason that's kind of interesting to me is typically when Apple announces a service, or when they've announced like you think of any, like an iPhone announcement or any of that, there's almost always music attached to it. Like Apple will bring up some U2 song or Rolling Stone, or they'll use, like modern pop and all that. Like it's a chance for them to essentially nod to the world and say, like, yeah, we're in on the good music too. Like we get it. We know what you want to listen to. And so the fact that the album art and the song name and the artist, I don't think exist out there. And again, I didn't dig like for hours, but it seems as though it is not a current artist, I guess would be a good way to put it. So would one maybe connect the dots and think that was perhaps just an AI generated song name with an AI generated artist name playing AI generated music? I don't know.
One of the screenshots I saw, I did also do a similar thing, but I searched on Spotify and it was one of the...
We're so cool, Ben. This is what we do at that time.
But yeah, like, I did exactly the same, but I did find the artist. It was on Spotify and it was one of the fake, the quote unquote fake artists.
Fun.
So yay for everyone.
I think my initial thought is it sounds like with such generic playlist or station titles that, any of that music could probably be interchangeably put in like on any of the other stations. I don't know. I'm just kind of intrigued. Like you said, Ben, like, I mean, you could look at the sleep one and say, okay, there's like a general distinction, but I find that intriguing for just what those will be like on, chill versus productivity is kind of like, well, what do you do that distinguishes between those?
Yeah.
And then people are going to be listening to that thinking like, oh, this is all that this is, and that whole thing's, yeah. Oh, I don't know. That sounds interesting, though. I'm quite intrigued to just hear what that will be like.
And I hope people, I hope people revolt. Not at the concept in and of itself. Like, I think the concept is great, but I hope if it's AI generated, I hope the music just sucks. Like, I hope it's just dumb and is not like I've heard, some of the fake, like, and we gotta be careful, like the fake artists on, on any other streaming platform. Some of it is AI generated. Some other of it is just, a guy essentially farming out, all of the music that he could possibly create and just fill every, like all these different moniker names and all that. Like I get that there's multiple ways to be a quote fake artist, but I hope that the music is just so not what people want it to be, that it either tanks the service in and of itself, or maybe somebody at Apple asks the question like, well, I mean, the ambient music thing isn't going away. Like, this is a great genre. Maybe we need to like start featuring people who actually like make this and actually like weaving in some of the good stuff. I don't know. But then there's a lot of people who eat McDonald's, and I get it. And like, there's food, it's technically like food that you can put in your body, but it doesn't mean that it's good sort of food, but there's a lot of people who do. I don't know. I don't know.
It's just is it carefully curated food, Mike?
Well,
I said, but is it carefully curated food? I don't think it is.
It's curated, all right.
Yeah,
but it's like they don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't need to sell. They don't need to make revenue off streaming. Like, if you look at I guess I don't know what the right word would be, like the net worth per year of Apple versus the net worth per year of Spotify, it dwarfs in comparison of the money that Apple makes. Even though Spotify is clearly the winner at this point in the streaming world, it's like, it just doesn't make sense to have all that money and not have like 5 to 10 people on an A&R team somewhere in the Apple headquarters that are just like reaching out to labels and being like, we like what you're doing. Yeah. And it's like, it seems more easy to do that than it would be to try to create some kind of AI algorithmic system that does this thing and creates this. Like, it's fascinating. And I think it probably will come down to people just won't like it. Like, and if they don't like it, then they will have to regroup and say, well, let's make better burgers. Let's see what they're putting in those things and bring them out. And so that kind of is my main thought. It's like, it just seems way easier to just connect with some people and get the good stuff and then just plug it in your thing. Because at the end of the day, it's basically like it's a quick link button to the playlist you already make. Yeah. And so that's kind of the easy part, is the button.
Right.
Yeah. The only other thing for me that I thought when we were talking is like, I can get sleep and I can get wellness, but when you talk about things like chill and productivity, some people want, they want ambient house, or they want, drum and bass, or they want 90s hip hop when they're chilling. Like, that's their ambient. That's, and so it's almost one thing I wonder is if it's almost a redefinition of ambient music, meaning the music that is in the background, which could be a wide range of styles, a wide range of things, to where, okay, if it's in the background while I'm doing what I'm doing, it is now ambient music. And so I think there's a potential that this button thing is almost going to rebrand ambient music in a few ways. Because I think sometimes people that don't know it, they just like, you make background music. It's like, well, kind of, and not really, but that's where this button it'll be interesting to see how they interpret that, and then what they put into it because maybe my chill button is different than your chill button once it learns my habits, kind of thing, Yeah. But no one's going to sleep. Well, I guess some people might fall asleep to like Megadeth. I don't know,
Yeah.
So who knows what their sleep button will be when they
train it and mess up its
train
algorithm.
it. Yeah.
It's asleep. Yeah. Death metal every time, just like train it on that, and then just see if it does that for everyone else.
Well, I mean, so I'm thinking through like, solutions to it, and like, I kind of want to make a button. Like, why don't we make an all ambient button? And I, not even like just take streaming royalties out of it for a second, like to be able to just hit a button that opens up an app and it just begins to play like a not on the surface, but like a full library of all of our songs that just kind of, or what you can pick your mood or whatever. Like maybe have 4 different buttons for one for each of the same moods that they're trying to do. But if it winds up not being great music, we just start marketing it as like, hey, do you want to listen to like good ambient music? Cool. Hit the all ambient button. I mean, but then you can start getting into all the app development stuff, and you get to jump over the hoops. And when Apple starts figuring out that you're trying to like, do a thing that they're doing, are they gonna, who knows? But it's not like they're reinventing anything. I think the thing that's probably the most interesting, because like a shortcut is a shortcut, like cool that you took 1 or 2 clicks out of the process, like good on you. That's great. The thing that actually matters though, it almost feels like there is a commodifying or like a dumbing down of of ambient music. And I got to be real careful in how because like if this thing happens, and it happens to a degree where a lot of people adopt it, and a lot of those people who adopt it are people who perhaps would listen to playlists that many of us are featured on, or who are fans of ours, like, and our numbers, change as far as how many people listen, like that does not change my passion for this kind of music, and it does not change what I think I will be creating in this lane of me. Like I don't want to all of a sudden try to create something that's going to meet the same requirements that Apple might be looking for. I just want to make sure that I'm not operating out of a sense of fear in this, and that there's this like what if it takes away all that? Be like, dude, no one's ever gonna make the same music as any one of us. And we've talked about this sort of thing before. Like we've gone down the road of AI replacing us. We've gone down the road of how do you sound different than all the other artists. Like we've talked about that plenty. Yeah, I feel like at some point we gotta stand firm in the fact that like we believe in what we do, right? Like I believe it's like if you're a fabulous artist and someone comes along and creates a piece of a painting that winds up getting replicated, and they sell it at Target and Home Goods, and it's on 50,000 people's homes and all that, like that doesn't mean that it's a better piece of art. It may mean that there was like a monetization of that wound up in that singular metric, wound up measuring higher than your thing, but it doesn't change the value of your thing, and it also doesn't change the people. I don't know, like it's not like people are obviously gonna, I would like to think higher of the people who listen to our music, and that if they like what we're doing, any of us or any of the people in our all ambient family, and then they were to listen to something that, again, we're just assuming if it were just sort of an AI generated whatever and didn't necessarily have the life to it that we wanted to, I gotta just believe that our listeners are cooler than that. And that they want to listen to our stuff for the same reason that we want to make our stuff and listen to our stuff. I gotta be confident in that, I think. And yeah, but again, that's assuming a lot of stuff. So
I think for me, I'm hopeful that over time there will be a reaction against the generic music, not just in ambient, but generic, AI or not, the generic stuff that is just pumped into these playlists, and that enough people will be like, hey, we don't want that, and reject it, that will kind of enable the rest of the real people who are creating this kind of music to thrive. And, that doesn't need to be everyone. I think that fine. If these playlists need to exist for people who just want very, very generic stuff, that's fine. I would be really curious to know, and I don't know if there's any way of knowing this, but like really curious to know whether how many people actually listen to, say, the Big Sleep playlist on Spotify versus kind of what their expectation is. So, I mean, of course, it's got millions and millions of followers, but like, are the streaming numbers on that, like, per follower as good as some of the smaller ambient playlists featuring real artists? I don't know. I would be kind of, and their loyalty to that playlist. Is it?
Well, and here's, I was just going to say, I'm going to speak into that real fast because, and here's pulling back the curtain a little bit. For about a decade now, I have been doing a cute little side project called Worship Lullaby that is cute little lullaby versions of worship songs. And it's great. I made it for my kids, and it has kind of turned into its own little gentle giant, which is awesome. But I will say the only reason to bring that up in this conversation is that it happened. Like, people listen to that when they are sleeping, or when their children are sleeping, when their infants are sleeping, and the number of plays per listener on all Worship Lullaby stuff across any platform is like 10 to 20 times higher than listenership on any of my other monikers anywhere. And that's to say, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the average number of songs that someone listens to per month, isn't it somewhere around like 5 or 10 is kind of the average number of songs that somebody listens to per month per moniker? Is that number changed, or?
I don't know. I think it really just depends on the moniker. Is
right,
very
right.
different. And the kind of style of music.
For Worship Lullaby, it's like 100 songs per. Like it just the numbers, which is great. So even though the number of people who are listening is like a more modest number, like then you look at how many songs per day or per week or per month people are listening. Like they turn it on and they listen to it for 12 hours, 10 hours. Like it's on. It is on. So the reason to bring that up is that I think even if there aren't a ton of people showing up for the sleep, which I think there are plenty of people showing up for the sleep playlist,
yeah, for sure.
But then, like, when you're on the sleep playlist, you're on it all night, right? You're on it for 6, 8, 10 hours, and that thing is giddy. I mean, think of how long most of those songs are. They're 2, 3, 4 minutes a piece. Just average that there's 15 songs an hour. Like, you probably play 100 songs a night at the least. And so just by the sheer volume of that, it becomes a juggernaut without even really having to try.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the sleep playlist was a kind of bad example in some senses of the point I was trying to make. It's more about, like,
I just went on that whole bender for nothing. Oh man!
Oh no, it's a good one, because you kind of it provides, it's kind of like a really helpful context to this whole conversation, which is that there are some of these which are just kind of these background playlists, and I guess for me it's maybe the playlists which are halfway between that and, say, something like Ambient X, which is obviously real artists that are being showcased. There are lots in between. There are things like, I don't know, Ambient Dreamscapes on Spotify, if you know that used to have a whole bunch of us and real artists on there which are making this kind of music. Now it's full of the fake stuff, and maybe that's another example of people just sleeping to that. Maybe there's, I don't know, like, it feels like there's as I've said before, the opportunity that Spotify are missing to showcase real artists. And I would still be curious to know, like, I don't know what the metric would be, but like what people's response is, real listeners' response is to the kind of generic stuff versus the real artist stuff, in terms of kind of liking it and sharing it and listening on multiple times.
Yeah.
On those kind of middle playlists. Sorry, now I will stop talking. Kirk, you.
Well, no, I now I'm just listening, and so I probably lost what I was going to say, but I think what we were landing on is kind of the idea that these buttons, you got the buttons, Apple's doing the buttons, you got the playlist, Spotify's doing the playlist, and they're kind of one step away from the buttons, where they're almost AI or slightly generic in some of these playlists. They just haven't made their button yet, and they will, I'm sure. And is that the end of, artists doing their thing? And I think where we're landing is, no, it's not, because there will be people who just want the button. Yeah. That's fine. They're going to have the button, they'll get the experience. And then there's going to be people who maybe they try the button and they're like, I don't really like the button. I want to go, it's kind of like...
we're going to be pitching to buttons, you guys. We're going to...
Yeah.
This song's going to be so good for that button. Oh, man.
But it's like, I don't know if this is a good example. It was like, when all these microbreweries all started and like, craft beer, like all this, like,
watch who you're talking to there,
Over here it was just like, sometimes people just, people just want Budweiser, and that's just fine. You go out to the game, but then people want these, 10% IPAs, triple stout, blah, 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 whatever. It's just this idea that having a button for people who want the button is not going to destroy these other people who are putting their heart and soul and stuff, because there's always going to be people who would prefer that, even if it takes them a little bit more digging, and they're going to share
so
that.
Good.
There's
That's
always
so
going to be,
good.
we're in an ocean of humanity, and there's going to be people who want the button, and there's going to be people who want to dig a little deeper. And so I think from us, our standpoint is like, okay, they're making a button. That's a little bit overwhelming. It'd be nice to be on the button, but we might not be. But we can still do our thing, and there's going to be people who want it. And so I like making it, so I'm going to make it anyways. And I would like for it to find a button, or at least find a home where there's people who like it and appreciate it.
Guys, we are the craft beer of the ambient world.
That's right.
That's good.
That's really
like
I was waiting for the moment.
Man, I kind of we should stop referring to like compilation albums. We should just call them flights now. Like we're just going.
That's right.
Let's just
EPs
embody, just incorporate all the. Oh man, yep.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Or you do like singles or shots, EPs, and then we can kind of just a reference to a previous conversation
man,
now. But
I got a 6-pack coming out this weekend that I'm just really excited about. Yeah.
That's a variety pack. There's a lot of collabs on it.
Yeah, man. I was gonna release it this weekend, but I actually wanted to age it for another 6 months or so, and so I'll put it out in September instead. What else? I mean, have we exhausted this one? Or is there anything else to say before we just kind of wait with bated breath to see what happens? Why not? Yeah, somebody already said it. I think it may have been Kirk or but like even the names of those 4 stations. Like I know that some of us are even currently on like the ambient chill playlist on Apple Music and different things like that. Like why don't they just take those and bring them out? Like how hard would it be to just do that? And again, I'm not that might be what they do
though,
right? Sure,
I kind of feel
that
like
might be all it is.
Yeah,
it's just a redirect. Could be that simple, and they're just trying to rebrand it to be like, hey, don't forget you can do this, and we did it first.
Here's kind of a weird thing though, is that, and this will be interesting because we just had, and it'll release in backwards order the way that we'll do this, so that we just recorded a roundtable an hour ago, and we were talking about some stuff related to like albums and EPs and singles and all that, and talking about just like the experience that we know and kind of what is being offered to the listener psychologically with those things, and the chance for them to kind of marinate in the sound and all that. Anyway, the idea of let me put it to you like this. Okay, so if any of you have ever used an app outside of a music player app, like Calm would be, an example of that, or there's multiple, apps out there where they are creating, there's music that's happening as a background to whether it's a visual or, just a guided this or that. I think it's great. I love the other music that's out there. It doesn't feel to me, and again, I'm an artist, and I've been, I'm deep in the, the Kool-Aid of music. So I get that I may have a colored view of it, but it just doesn't feel the same when I'm listening to something in the Calm app as when I'm listening to it in a DSP, when I'm listening to it in Apple Music and Spotify. And maybe the whole reason of that is that when I open up a different app, I'm expecting, or maybe I'm putting myself in a different headspace or a different brain space to receive that, or okay, let's turn on some music, as opposed to I want to feel, I want to help my well-being. And I'm not mocking anyone who wants to listen to music for doing that, but it'll be interesting to see how people respond to just, okay, let me just hit the well-being button instead of let me open up my music player and open up a playlist that I love when I want to focus on, my well-being. Because one thing that I want to, again, give a lot of credit to, to anyone who's a listener out there of, our music on all the different playlists and stations and buttons and all that. is the idea that like they have found, well, and it relates to what you guys were saying before, like who are we to say what someone wants as their chill music? But even more so, like what if someone wants, even within the genre, what if someone wants something just a little bit more crispy, a little bit more almost like there's some IDM EDM stuff, or what if someone wants it to be really drone like? And there are playlists that kind of cater to those, and they have some great, like there are ones with fake artists, there are ones with real artists, and I kind of believe in the listener a little bit. Like they find the good stuff, and they find, there are millions and millions of people who already have found great playlists. And so I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just like hopeful for humanity a little bit, but like I unless the music on these things are just awesome, I don't think the people who are already listening to great things on great playlists elsewhere will convert to this. It may simply be a play for people who don't do that and who just want something. So this might be an attempt to capture the ears of people who, like the Venn diagram of like the people who are already listening to us and then like the people who are going to hit a button. Like maybe there's not as much overlap as we think. And again, like I give a lot of credit and believe in the intelligence and the taste of the people who listen to our stuff, and don't think that they're going to be duped by something. If this happens to be a, kind of a low budget, or it feels like it's generated, it feels like it's fake, that'll sour pretty quick, I think. So maybe they're just going after somebody very different. I don't know.
That, I feel like your example about the call map thing, like that kind of brings just a whole like separate thought train for me. Cause it's like, yeah, like when people go to do that, they are wanting to, they're intentionally putting themselves in a place of, wanting to relax or meditate and do that thing. And yeah, for us, if I think about doing that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to the Calm app to like look for an artist, that I follow or am a fan of or something. Mm-hmm. So the people that listen to us, or like me being fans of the music you guys make, I don't go and listen to that. I might go to a sleep playlist because I know that you guys are on there and some other artists that I like are on there, but the intention is I'm going into, a platform that I use to listen to music to intentionally, kind of appreciate the music and listen to the artists that I'm a fan of. So I think, I don't know, it just makes me think like, yeah, this sounds more like something that's like, doesn't necessarily sound like something that's going to be for music, right? It's not going to be for like to go support an artist or listen to an artist that we like, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's probably what you guys were saying from the beginning, but that kind of just like clicked for me as like, okay, this isn't like I click the button and I click on chill and I'm like finding all these artists I like. No, it's like, this is more probably geared towards, people that still, think ambient music is like very new age and like that whole thing, like it's just
like the music version of my white noise app.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think, Ben, you said just people like maybe unintentionally, right? Like redefining in some ways what ambient music is. And I think back to like those, like not too long ago when, people were like, isn't that kind of like new agey, or that's kind of like weird music. And there's just so many different avenues that it's gone in, which is great how widely spread it is now compared to what feels like what it used to be. But it also kind of opens up like, yeah, there's a lot that if you just say you make ambient music, I mean, gosh, like there's so many things that could entail, So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what that does with that too.
Well, and like with anything, when something gets more attention, like what ambient music has, it will undoubtedly attract people who, or, companies, entities, movements that will attempt to turn it this direction or turn it that direction, or, like there's in all of the same beauty that there is with, you think back to like, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and like the grunge movement and alternative and like everything that happened there, which is so cool. Then all of a sudden, like when the labels are starting to, run after that, give it a few years and it almost becomes like a mask, a clown face of what it used to be, even though, they think they're just turning out more and more of the same of what they think everybody wants, and everyone has already kind of moved on to the next thing. I think it will be interesting to see what happens in maybe to the ambient genre and the ambient space as a whole. And I know that we were here, all of us and many other incredible artists were all here before this thing, and I believe that many of us will all be here after this thing too. And there's a lot of beauty in. Now, I got to be careful on how I say it. It's not like digging your heels in and like, oh, we're going up against the, but it's like I don't want something like this to cause me to question everything about what I do and why I do it. Like that's to be blown around like the wind like that is just cause for absolute psychological meltdown. And so I want to kind of receive it with half open arms and just be like, cool, there's some cool things about this. And again, like Apple, it is all-ambient.com. Like you just go to the content. Like we would be happy to talk with you about all the music we can help feed your buttons
made by people. Yeah.
Yep. By real human beings who love those buttons, who love each of those moods and genres that those buttons represent. We're all about the buttons. But regardless, whether or not we are on a button, it does not change why we do what we do. I'm just gonna, insert the Michael Jackson eating popcorn gif where I'm just going to kind of sit back and watch this one a little bit and just okay, well,
see how it unfolds.
Here we go.
I mean, it could be a little gateway drug for people that never even heard about this kind of thing. And they'll be like, oh, wait, there's like an ambient music that's like a thing, so it could end up bringing curiosity to a lot of people, and then they kind of do some digging on their own and they'll find the stuff, the good stuff. Be a little gateway drug of ambient music, micro beers and ambient.
Yeah, I mean
drugs.
the button. Oh no, you want the good stuff? You're going to, I don't know what accent I just pulled out. Oh, good grief, we're gonna get canceled. Yeah, it is. It's fun to be the craft beer of the ambient world, and so many people fall into that category. It will be very interesting to see what happens. Yeah, Apple, here's hoping for the best. We all use your products regularly, so kind of hoping that it's a cool thing. We'll see. We shall see. Yeah, and Apple, if you're looking for some cover art and you want to do a thing for all the stuff. The name of the release is Soma Sova. It's a recent thing, and it's got a really cool kind of color palette. I think it could work out really well in all of the the ad spots that you have for this.
There we go. So, they're going to start blowing up your phone now, Mike.
Or they will literally just blow up your phone. Like it will just spontaneous. You don't get that anywhere. Well, before our podcast officially gets taken off the airwaves forever and ever, let's wrap it up. I love where you guys are. I just I love each of you, but I think for us to walk away, certainly joking and certainly like there's a bit of like, okay, well, what if, but ultimately like for us to be able to stand tall and say like, yeah, we're doing our thing, and it'll be interesting to see, but we're going to keep doing our thing, and that's an encouragement for anyone out there in their lane to just keep doing your thing, even as the winds start blowing a little bit. Don't let it stop what you're called to do. So, yeah.
That's right.
So there it is. We'll land with that. Grateful for you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for joining us on the All Ambient podcast. This is about as shameless of a plug as it gets, but it really does help for those of you who are watching to give us a rating if you're on any podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. On YouTube, we would love a follow, a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. And please leave a comment, a review, whatever is applicable to the right place that you're finding this. It really does go a long way. You don't have to make anything up by any means, but if there's some value in this podcast for you, we'd love to hear about it. We, as the All Ambient family, would love to meet you. I know it does my heart good, as well as everybody else who's involved at All Ambient. So please do so. Come back and join us next week. We got another great episode coming your way. And until then, here's hoping that this music and the hearts behind it make your day and your life that much better. Thanks.